Hi there.
Hi there.
Welcome to the Notorious Needle. I'm Sarah.
I'm Bridget.
And here we talk about all things cross stitch and a few other nerdy current events things too. But today we're going to get started so this is going to be published the day after Thanksgiving. We're recording just a few days before that.
And we're on Zoom because I am sick and I don't want to infect everybody at her house because I've already infected everybody at my house. So.
Right. We don't need any of that. So if there are some weird cuts, it's because we don't want you to have to listen to Bridget coughing.
Coughing, sneezing, snorting, whatever.
All the things. Also, because it is that time of year, the Notorious Needle is having a Black Friday sale. So by the time this video comes out, the entire site and the Etsy shop will be 40% off everything, all the things. Which, and then if you're a VIP, you can enter your 20% off VIP code and get an additional 20% off, which I said that already, but.
So wait, that's 60% off the entire site.
Yeah, I believe it is total out to 60%. Yeah.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yeah. It's the biggest sale that I have all year. You'll never see a bigger sale than that. Black Friday is it, so treat yourself. The link will be down below. It's notoriousneedle.com/get20, and that's 20. So GET 20.
And how long is that one on for?
Oh, thank you. That goes until the end of the month. So it's like a super easy Black Friday sale. It's not just Black Friday. It's from now until November 30th.
Nice. So now's the time to get that bundle of patterns that you've been wanting to do and you just haven't done it.
Yeah. Collect all the patterns you're going to stitch next year. No laughing.
I'm trying.
So what we like to do first normally is talk about the comments that we received in previous videos. So thank you so much for your comments and your questions. We really appreciate them. First, I wanted to go with some questions, and I responded via YouTube comments already, but I thought, Bridget, it might be nice to get your take. So the first question is from a spoon on our 10 cross stitch lover gift ideas for 2021 video. And she writes, I think it's a she, I don't know. They write, great and helpful video. I do have a semi-unrelated question though. Can we leave working projects in the hoop? I've always been afraid to, as I work with Ada, and everything I've seen says not to do it. So what do you think, Bridget?
Well, I leave working projects in the hoop if I'm working them. Like that's the key. The two whips that I have right here are both in the hoop because I'm lazy. I don't like to take them out of the hoop and then have to put them back in the hoop and then take it back out of the hoop. And besides that, I've got my stitch minder there. I've got, everything set up the way I want it. So if I take it off the hoop, I got to reset everything. But if I'm putting something away, like I know I'm not going to touch it for weeks, then I will take it off the hoop. And not because I run out of hoops, but that's one reason why I used to do it. But because it could leave marks that are hard to get out, even when you wash them and iron them and wash them and iron them. But if it's something I'm currently working on, I'm leaving it.
So you might leave it overnight or for a couple of days, but not for like months and months.
Well, if I'm not going to touch something for a few weeks, I will take it out of the hoop. And then I'll fold it and pop it in a project bag. And then promptly forget that I'm doing it.
So I do about the same thing, but for the little projects where the hoop is actually bigger than the stitches and I'm planning to frame it in a hoop, I'll leave it in the hoop. It doesn't matter because you'll never see the hoop marks. So that's an instance where you might want to leave it.
Oh, you mean you're framing it in the hoop?
Yeah, it's going to be finished. Right. If I'm going to finish it in the hoop, then who cares, right?
Right.
Like the hoop marks won't interfere with how it looks because they'll always be behind the hoop. But like you, if it's in a hoop and the hoop might be like covering some stitch, or I'm moving it around the project to stitch it, yeah, I won't leave it in for more than a couple of days, because the hoop marks are kind of a pain to get out. You can get them out, but it's kind of a pain. It's more of a pain than taking it out of the hoop. So how about another question? So on Flosstube 14, Lisa Lewis wrote, so when you finish a pattern, you're supposed to wash it?
Supposed to is the operative word there. Well, I have a story about that. So if you have ever spent, and this was years ago, so I spent $40 taking a piece in to, I won't say the local store. You all know probably which ones they are, and had it professionally framed, got it home, looked at it, and saw a great big mark on the side of the corner that I hadn't seen when I dropped it off. Had I washed it first, then I wouldn't have had to take the whole frame apart, wash it myself, iron it, and then figure out if I could reframe it as good as the professionals did. It wasn't quite as good, but I did what I could because it was a gift for somebody else, and I wasn't going to give it to them with that great big that hoop dirt mark where I guess I had been holding the hoop right there for like however long I had held the hoop, and there was all that greasy fingerprint, I guess. Well, not really greasy, but you know what I mean. It gets dark, and unless your fabric is, already tie-dyed, you can't really get away with that. So yeah, if you're going to have it professionally framed, I would wash it.
So 2 things on that. The washing is recommended. It's not absolutely necessary, which is why we're laughing, because a lot of people get that. Like for little things, if I'm making an ornament that's going to hang on the Christmas tree and it's this big, like I'm not going to wash that, whatever. But if it's bigger and I'm going to get it professionally framed, and I have news for you, it costs a lot more than $40 to get it professionally framed.
I said it was years ago, right?
Yeah. So if you're going to do that, then yeah, you're going to want to wash it as best as you can. With that being said, always follow the directions of the materials that you're using. So if you're using color fast embroidery floss and color fast fabric, you're fine, you can wash it. If it's hand dyed, you're probably not going to want to wash that. So you're going to have to be extra careful not to get it grimy in the natural oils on your skin, or don't eat around it or anything like that. But yeah, it's a recommendation. It's not like a must have. It depends on how long you want it to last. If this is heirloom quality, yeah, wash it. If it's a goofy little thing that you're going to, hang up for a couple of months and then take down and forget about it, who cares, Oh, I just wanted to show you my mug today.
Love it.
Yeah, so, and my husband has one that says Mr. Right. Thank you, Lisa Lewis, for that question. The next question is from D. Holland Axel on the video about how to wash your cross stitch. And they write, I have an 18-year-old project that I have just found the missing pattern for. The only problem is that being in storage for so long, it has some dark marks on the fabric and has yellowed over the years. Any tips on an aged project that should be white? I love the video. Thanks, Steve, for your comment. I appreciate that. I'm going to go ahead and take this one, and this will be our last comment for today, so we can get on to stitchy stuff. So my answer is that it's better to prevent the marks than to have to correct them after. And the way to prevent the marks is by washing your project, which we were just talking about. What happens is the natural oils of your skin will discolor the fabric over time. Most of the time we're stitching on cotton, and cotton is a natural material, and it is grown from, plants. And it responds to the natural oils in our skin by yellowing and sometimes getting spots over time. So 2 things: try not to handle your project with your naked hands. That's what grime guards are for. Keep your hands clean, wash them before you start. And when you put it away with acid-free paper, because sometimes when you're storing it in like a plastic bag or a bin, the acid will start to degrade the cotton over time. So preventing is better. As far as removing it, you could try washing it. It depends. But that gave me an idea for a future tutorial. So I found some products. I just Googled it and I found some products called Retro Clean. So it's about cleaning vintage textiles. And I have several old projects that have also yellowed. So I'm going to try that out. And I think, Bridget, you said you had some projects that you'd be willing to donate to this cause.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I have one I'm going to take out of the frame, the one that was at Mom's house, the little, anyway, I have to take it out of the frame and I'm going to wash it and then I'll reframe it. I don't know how well it's going to wash. It wasn't under glass. So, it's accumulated. I think I gave it to her in the 80s. So like how much, I can't do the math. Is that 40 years worth of dust?
Yeah. Yeah, wow.
Yeah. And I have projects that I have relegated to the band bin, I guess you'd call it. I stick them in a bin. It's like, oh, I'm so sick of this thing. I don't think I want to work on it for now. And I'll stick it in a bin. And there they stay and rot for, however many years until I decide, I'm bored. Maybe I'll look at those projects again, or I get some other motivation to look at them. But I was thinking, if the washing doesn't work, there's so much about tea dyeing your fabrics, like making a tea and then putting some of the fabric in it. But I was thinking, if you've already worked on the fabric, you can't really do that with the DMC floss, but you could use a paintbrush. And you could use like maybe a fatter paintbrush, not the really thin ones, but maybe a fatter paintbrush, and just make some splotches in areas that you haven't stitched on. And maybe it will make it look like it's supposed to be that way.
I see. So like embrace it.
If you can't, fight it, and you don't want to start the project over, which I feel you, honey. I wouldn't want to either. I'm just thinking that might be a way to save it, from being completely ruined.
Yeah, no, that's a clever idea. I like that. So another option is to just embrace the spots and the yellowing and add to it, maybe look like it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I haven't tried it. It just sounds like it might work. And if nothing else does, you've got nothing to lose.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good idea. So let us know if you liked this kind of question and answer format, or if you hated it. Put a note in the comments, or if you'd rather just continue with like the back and forth. We got some really nice comments on our previous Flosstube videos, so thank you for those. We really enjoy reading them and responding to them, and we're so glad that you're here with us. So thank you for that. So let's move on to, let's see what's on the, I got my notebook, my unicorn notebook.
Of course you do.
On the agenda, oh, just a reminder that when we reach 5,000 subscribers, we're going to have a giveaway. And that giveaway will be for a skein of golden DMC floss. Now, this is not Light Effects. This is not Diamond. This is the collector's edition gold DMC floss. It is floss dipped in, I think it's 14 karat gold. Gorgeous. So others about it. When we reach 5,000 subscribers, as a thank you for joining us, we will be having that giveaway. And as of right now, we're at like 4,300. So
awesome.
Closing in. I'm so excited. Oh, so the next thing we wanted to talk about was how are we getting ready for StitchCon? On our previous video, Autumn wrote, I didn't know StitchCon was a thing. So excited to hear about this. We are so excited too, because we've never been.
Nope.
Well, Bridget, what are you doing to prepare for StitchCon, which is in June?
Honestly, not a damn thing yet. I just came back from a cruise, and which is how I got sick. So I have been just kind of resting. I've been thinking about StitchCon, but I haven't actually, like, other than the little tree thing that you saw last time, which I haven't worked on at all since. So that's why you won't see it again until I do something with it. I've been a bad girl.
That's all right. Hey, tell us about the little friend on your shoulder.
Oh, Tweezer, my quote unquote stitching buddy. Yeah. The one who comes down and chews all my paper patterns, which is why I've gone to digital, who likes to pull all my bobbins out of my box. He likes to play with my stitch minders and drop them on the floor. Yeah, he's just a bundle of fun. If I don't have him on me, he will be shrieking from the other room and you will not be able to edit that out. So
yeah. So there he is, spoiled brat. That's all right, he's adorable. So what I've been doing for StitchCon, I haven't started stitching anything yet. I do have something that I had already stitched. It's going to be that treasure box that I showed in the previous Flosstube. So if you want to see what that looks like put all together, check out the previous one. And when I'm done, I'll put out the pattern and a little tutorial about how I put it together. But so far I've been researching like what can I give away? What can I share with other stitchers? Because there's like a needle minder exchange, and then there's a I don't know what they're calling it. It's like a bric-a-brac table where it's freebies where you can bring stuff from your stash that you're not using anymore, but you don't want to throw away that maybe somebody else might like. But I haven't been through my stash. So I was thinking about even needle minders, and Bridget and I came up with a really cool design. But so far, it looks like having needle minders made is going to be hundreds and hundreds of dollars, which I don't have. So if any of you know where enamel needle minders can be manufactured for less than hundreds and hundreds of dollars, shoot me a recommendation, sarah@notoriousneedle.com. That would be great. But I think what I'm going to do is floss drops. So floss drops are they're like halfway between a floss organizer card and a bobbin. So it's basically like a floss organizer card, but for one thread at a time. And instead of winding it on, you just sort of tie it onto the floss drop, and then you put a ring around it. What I'll do is I will find a picture on the internet and I will insert it here. So now you can see what I'm talking about. So I was looking at some tutorials and I think I can make a bunch. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to make some floss drop cards and share those. So you'll have like a bunch of different cards for several colors. And then I'm going to add like a project card on the ring as well. So like you'll have a space to write what the pattern is and the fabric to help you remember, or any other notes you might want to have associated with that particular whip while you stitch it. And the idea is that you use these floss drop cards to kit up your project. Because those of us who bobbinate, we usually only have one bobbin per color. And so whatever we're working on, we got to put all of our bobbins into one container for whips. So might be fun. So that's what I've been thinking about for StitchCon, like the smalls exchange and then like the freebies. And then later we'll have to go through our stash and see. So Bridget and I are attending StitchCon weekend A if you're going. There's a wait list, but I think it's been closed. I think all spots have been sold, but there is a wait list. But if you're already in, let us know and you know, we get to see you there. It'll be fun.
For real.
Yeah.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
When you say people kit up their project, so this is not, I mean, I hear people say that all the time. personally, I'm not exactly 100% sure that I understand what that means. So are they actually reading? I know on some patterns it'll say, oh, you'll use 3 yards of this color. Are they actually measuring out 3 yards of that color, cutting it, putting it on one of those little cards, and then sticking it in the box so that the rest of the color is in their main stash? Or because like when I quote unquote kit up, I just look through my box. Okay, I need 310. Okay, I need 416. Okay, I need whatever. And I put it all in the little box like you have there. Since I usually only I'm working on 1 or 2 whips at a time, I can keep them all, one on one side, one on the other, or whatever. But do people actually do that? Do they actually cut the thread? And they do.
Yeah. So from what I've seen, so you guys, you have to understand that my mother and I have been stitching together for 30 years, and it's really only been like the past 3 or 5 years that we've been watching floss tubes and learning about how other people do things. So we do things how we do them because that's how we've always done them. And it's been recently we've learned how other people do them. So the way you and I do it, you have to have one container that has all of the floss that you're using for all of your whips. And that limits how many whips you can have.
You can always have more than one container. I have like 4 of those things.
Yeah, but how are you going to keep track?
How am I going to keep track of what?
Of what is in there for whips and what's in there for storage. This is just whips.
Right.
Right. So you're limited. You do a handful of whips. I've got like 5 going. That's it.
Okay.
What happens is people like to have dozens of whips. Dozens. I mean, I've been watching the Sunshine Stitchers, and they're hilarious. You guys should watch them. I'll put that link below too. They're a lot of fun, and I'm hoping to meet them when COVID is over because they're local to us. But so Gary has something like 40 whips or something. So what he does is he has a different whip bag for each project, and he and his husband Ronnie own a business called Garon Stitches, and they manufacture these whip bags and sell them. They're beautiful. But he has a separate bag for every whip, and inside each bag is like the flosses that he needs, maybe a needle, a different pair of scissors, or maybe he'll keep, the scissors with him that he likes to use. But yeah, he'll set up every color for every project, and it may not be everything that he needs to stitch that entire project. He may have to add more later, but there's something in there to get him started.
I see.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how can you keep track of 40 whips? Oh, I have watched them though. He has a big Excel file that he uses. Yeah, that's too high tech for me.
That sounds like a lot of work to me too. It's not something I want to do. I'm happy with like my 5 whips. But if you've got 40, you're gonna have to keep them somewhere. I'm imagining, and I've seen other stitchers do this, where they'll have a box of whip bags. And each bag goes with the theme of whatever whip is inside. So if you're stitching a Halloween project, you might have a Halloween whip bag. And so you put the Halloween whip in the Halloween bag, and you kind of remember what's in there, and you kind of don't. I mean, it could be like Christmas morning one day, in February, and you're like, I finished my project. What do I want to stitch on next? Oh, look, I have these 20 things. I forgot what's in here. Oh yeah, I remember that. I'm going to stitch on that now,
That happens to me with the band bin, the bin of projects that I've said, I'm not touching this again. And I've banned it from the active area anyway.
There's a term for that. People call it shopping your stash. So you don't so you go and look through it. So yeah.
This is why I have started purging, because there's such a thing as shopping your stash, and there's such a thing as buying something only to go through your stash and find, wow, I already had 3 of these. Yeah, time to purge, time to go through and look and organize and everything. And I think you see that behind me right there, like how could you miss it? But anyways, those are all cross stitch books. Those are all from, I had 2 or 3 different
Subscription?
Thank you. That's the word. Subscriptions to, I had Just Cross Stitch, I had Cross Stitch Magazine, I had Leisure Arts. And so from like 80s and 90s. And that's what those are mostly, that and knitting books. So if there's an old pattern you can't find, let me know what magazine it was in. I might actually have it. But maybe I should go through and give up some of those, because a lot of those are not anything I'm ever going to stitch at this point.
Yeah. And for the freebie table, or if you find something you don't want, maybe we can give them away here, and folks might be interested in, especially if it's out of print. Yeah. Let's move on to stitchy stuff. I love the stitchy stuff.
Stitchy stuff.
So what's all the new stitchy stuff you got this month?
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on to your hats, honey. I went a little fabric crazy. Well, what happened was I went through and I looked at all the fabric that I've gotten from the Fabric of the Month Club from Bestitch Me, and I realized that I only ever showed you, I think, the one piece, which was the Neptune that I'm doing the mermaid on. So I went through and I took them all out of the plastic in deference to Sarah, who does not like the crinkle of plastic. I do, because it sounds like, potato chip bags, but What's that?
Not here, not on YouTube.
I know some people don't like it. So this one was May, and it's called Stonehenge.
Interesting.
It's like a greenish. It's dark. I could see doing something really, really bright on this.
It looks really on my screen. Did you say it's kind of green?
It looks bluish on the screen, but it's actually a little more green. Yeah.
Okay.
And that was a Fabric of the Month Club, and that's 16 count Aida cloth. This one is really bright. This one's called Cardinal.
Wow.
Isn't that cool?
Ah.
That one was it doesn't say what month it was, but it's also 16 count Aida cloth. This one is called Through the Stones. This one is more green.
Yeah, it looks kind of tealish. Oh, I see. Yeah, it's turning a little green.
It's probably my lighting.
Yeah.
But you can see how it has that really pretty mottled look. I love that. And then this one was from July, and this one is called Scroll. And again, it's kind of like an ivory with mottled. Could you see that or no?
Hold it closer to you and farther from the camera. Okay. Yeah.
Does it need to be bigger?
Maybe. It's hard to tell because you've got white light from one side and yellow light from the other, but yeah.
I know.
Getting like a yellow khaki look to it.
But it's just, and they call it scroll. So to me, it does look like a scroll, actually, like a parchment. It's got that really pretty parchment look. And then this one is Garden Party, and this was August's. So this is the Fabric of the Month Club. I figured I'd just catch you guys up on.
And that's green edges?
It's what?
Green around the edges, like a green and a pinkish red?
Yeah. So I could see, like, there's somebody who's doing a labyrinth stitch along. I could definitely see like labyrinth stitch along being done on this. And they call it's called Garden Party, but I could see something like, trees or something nice and
something
nerdy.
Floral. Yeah. I could see floral on there for sure.
Yeah. And then I went to big box store. I went to Michael's. They had these towels, and it says perfect for embroidery. And I don't know if you can see, but it kind of is. I see squares.
Oh yeah, it looks like even weave.
Yes. And anytime I see squares, I think cross stitch. And these are really nice, soft kitchen towels. And the other ones I did all had the orange stripe down the front. Well, not everybody's kitchen really goes with the whole orange stripe thing. And those are kind of 1950s. But I was thinking of doing some Christmas patterns on these. because I love that. Or maybe more of your Kitchen Goddess collection, because I might want to have a couple more of those. I like those. But these are really soft. And they weren't that expensive. $7 for two.
Okay. And that was at Michael's, you said you found them?
Yep. I believe it was. Then, yeah, okay. There's a woman who was selling these on Facebook Marketplace. So I didn't get one. I didn't get two. I didn't get three or four. Five. No, I had to get six. They're all from somebody's stash. So these are all secondhand. And she was selling them for a pretty good price, 3 for $10. So I couldn't resist. These are all Charles Craft. They're all 14 count Ada. They're all, I think it's 15 by 18 is the size on them. So yeah, I went a little fabric happy.
I think you're set for a while.
Oh, you would think so, but that's not all. Then I was looking on Amazon. And this is still in the plastic, so I apologize. But this is all 14 count also. There's this color, and there's this one, and there's the darker one. And there's the pinky purpley one. That'll look cute on it with a unicorn on it. And then there's the purpley blue one, and then pretty much white. So these are also pretty inexpensive. I think they were $17.99 for 6 or 7 of them. And I sent you the link for the show notes because I found those. Now I haven't used those yet, and they're from China. But I figure, the Bestitch Me, the Fabric of the Month Club, those are gorgeous, but they're around $20, $25 if you order them. I think it's like $22 a month or something for the Fabric of the Month Club. And not everybody has that kind of cash to spend on cross stitch. So, getting the fabric on, Amazon Marketplace from somebody's stash, that's also a great option. Or finding it on Amazon for super cheap coming from China. There's always ways of figuring out what your level, what your budget is. Yeah. And then you can work within your budget. So I didn't do that on purpose, like to show everybody how to do their budget, but sometimes I like to buy a lot of fabric. I like to have choices.
Yes, I see that. Wow. Okay. I didn't get that much fabric.
I know, but you said new stitchy stuff, right?
Yeah.
So not quite done yet. For my birthday, I got the Cone of Doom.
Yay!
Which is what the Witchy Stitcher calls it. What this is the 310 cone from DMC.
And it's something like 8,000 feet of floss. It's ridiculous.
It's called more than I will probably use up in my lifetime, but I'm gonna try.
You'd be surprised.
How much have you gone through on yours?
I would say 5 to 10%. Like I've made a decent chunk.
Wow.
Mine bigger than yours.
You'll have to repeat that.
Mine definitely looks skinnier than yours.
And
unwind it. As you unwind it, it pulls it from the outside. So yeah, for sure.
And I've already used 5 bobbins off of that. Because what I do is I bobbinate it when I get to the 3rd or 4th row, then I know that's about as much as a skein would be. And I cut it and I leave it on the bobbin. So I've already done that 4 or 5 times off of that one. But I keep it in the plastic because I know me. And that's the only way that it's going to stay good until I use it all up.
Yeah. So. In the plastic too, just because dust, I don't want dust to get on it. And then it's kind of a pain when you're stitching and it's dusty or like dog hair.
Oh, dog hair. Bird
feathers.
Mm-hmm. Not just feathers. He likes to chew. And there's nothing he likes to chew more than my floss. You should see him get into my little orts area. Oh yeah, he pulls it all out. He likes to try and nest it or something. I don't know what he's doing.
Oh, wow, that's funny.
That I have to unwind it from around his little feet. Good thing
Oh,
they're really, really short though, because I play thread chicken all the time. But
Oh,
guess what?
yeah. Go
Sorry,
ahead. I said, oh, the orts are really short. That makes sense.
but I got something else.
Whoa, I'm so jealous.
This is her new one. It just came out in October. And if you order it from her, she will sign it.
Wow, cool beans.
You have the other one.
I do.
Yep. And then I bought this one because I looked in it and I was like, oh, I like that. I like a lot of those. So yeah, that's available now. I got that one on Amazon. Actually, no, I didn't get it on Amazon. I ordered it directly from Julie. Yeah, she had to put out an announcement. And I guess I'm on everybody's email list. So I believe that's it for my new stitchy stuff.
Yeah, so that's from Subversive Cross Stitch, that book. And all of those patterns are like quick, they're sassy sayings, but they're quick stitch, like nothing is full coverage. It's usually like a snarky phrase with like a very delicate border, and they stitch up really fast.
Like that?
Yeah.
Oh, this is good. I'm going to make this one. Let me Google that for you.
Oh, yeah. What is that underneath it? Is that books or something?
Yep, books. This one I'm actually going to make for my boss.
I'm not bossy, I'm the boss. Hell yeah.
But anyway, that's just a couple of them that are in here.
Yeah, that's cute. Thanks, Mom. I like that. So for my new stitchy stuff, this is my favorite part. I got a bunch of frames and mat boards.
Ah.
So I think you were with me when I got these. We went to the dollar store, and then right next door is a Michael's Crafts. So I got some, these are some really nice and thick mat boards. One of these I think I'm using to frame the nice butt pattern that I want to go in the bathroom.
I like that.
Yep. And then the other one I'm going to frame. Now you stitched this and gave it to me.
Yep.
Know anyone who would like it, but I have the perfect friend who loves frogs who will like this. So I'm going to frame this in with one of the mat boards. Yeah, she loves frogs, and these are adorable. You don't remember what pattern this came from, do you?
That was actually a kit.
Oh, okay.
That was a kit that somebody gave me. I don't know if they picked it up, but they end up at my house.
It was really cute, and you didn't want to keep it, so you gifted it to me so that I could gift it to my loving friend. So I got those, and I also got a couple of frames, just a silver and a gold. The gold one is where the nice butt is going to go in. And then I think the silver one is for the froggies. Yeah, so I'm hoping by next month I will have some, I'll have to have at least one finish, right, in time for she celebrates Christmas, so I'll be giving it to her for Christmas. So I'm hoping to have some actual finishes. And then the only other thing that I picked up was I mentioned that I started the Fortnite Fabrics Fabric of the Month Club. Let's see, let me get I have the little paper here.
Oh, I want to see what theirs looks like.
I'm loving it. It's beautiful. So this is Expensive Rich October VIP. So there's different types of fabrics that you can pick, and then you pick the count, and then the actual colors are a surprise, right? So I picked the Expensive Rich look because I like the sparkly stuff, and I got 32 count Lugana.
32 count. Whew.
Well, it's basically 16 count over 2.
That's true.
And this is what it looks like.
Oh, pretty.
So opalescent. I don't know if you can see the sparkles.
Yes.
So it's opalescent, and it's like this peaches. I'm calling it peaches and cream. I don't see a name for it, but it's like this white with like peachy bits. So there you go.
Very pretty.
And it's all nicely hemmed. There's 3 hemmed edges and 1 edge that has the orange stripe, which is the signature for Zweigart. So this was Zweigart, Lugana, and Fortnite Fabrics. This is their dye job. So I'm really liking that. I don't know what I'm gonna stitch on it yet, but I love it. It's beautiful. I like that it's like the color transitions between the white and the peach are very gentle for the most part. Not like stripey, I guess, for lack of a better, like it very much fades in and out of the peachy. So I really like that. It's pretty. I love that it's Lugana and that it's opal. Like the sparkles are just, it's very delicate looking. So I love that. So
is it stiff or is it soft?
It's Lugana. It's soft. Yeah.
Soft. Okay.
Yeah. Not as stiff as Ada. So Ada is often starched with the idea that you can stitch it in hand without an embroidery hoop, but Lugana isn't. But I believe it is also 100% cotton. So, this is one of those fabrics I would not wash. So I would have to be very careful when I'm stitching it.
Yeah, you will.
Yep. Wash my hands, use a grime guard, like all the things to prevent it from getting gooky. Yeah. Because, I can't wash that. But that's all the stitchy stuff I got this month.
Aww.
Not a lot. You
haven't been busy.
I've been busy with a lot of family stuff. So.
Right.
So next is finishes. Do you have any finishes or fully finished?
I do have a fully finished. Here, Tweezer, get up here. And this is it right here. So that's what it looks like. Fully finished.
So which one is that? That was the stitch along from.
This is the stitch along from Snarky and Modern Cross Stitch Facebook.
Nerdy?
What is it?
Was it Snarky and Nerdy?
Snarky and Nerdy. Okay.
I think it was one of those Facebook.
I'm so bad. Yeah, I think it's the one that has David Tennant's picture at the top of the Facebook group, which is why I had to join it when I saw that.
Right.
And this was one of the members put it out as a free stitch along, so I had to do it. And then you were with me when we got the this. So it opens on the side here, and then it has 2 pieces that come out, and I put the fabric in between. The only thing is the fabric in between the 2 pieces of glass would not fit in the frame. It was too wide. So the back side is a few pieces of very, very thin sheet metal that my husband cut for that purpose because it was thinner than the glass. Because you can only fit so much in between and there's no give.
Oh yeah, because it's a picture frame essentially. Yeah.
But I think my grandson will like this. That's going to be for, I'm not going to say which one, in case they're watching. But
neither one
will watch.
They're not watching this. This is not their jam. This is our jam. And that's okay.
Then it's very safe for me to say that. That's my fully finished right there.
Congratulations. Yay. I, again, don't have any finishes. I feel like such a failure. I have to have at least one finished next time. So, and I expect to have another one. So, would you like to go into whips?
Sure.
What are you
Start with yours. Start with yours.
Right. Do I have them all here? I should. So I have a couple of whips, but I have been working on all of them. I've only been working on 3, so I'm going to show you the 3 I worked on this month. So this is, oh, you know what? I forgot to get out. So there's this one.
The bull and butterfly.
Right. So the pattern, I got the bull off of Etsy. It wasn't a great pattern. So I'm not going to share because it wasn't a great buying experience, and I wouldn't want anyone else to go through that. And then on top, I stitched a little bit of the butterfly, which is going to be perched on the bull's horn.
Mm-hmm.
You can see that. And it's stitched on, this is 16 count Ada by Bestitch Me. It's opal and it's called Escape. If you can see the sparkles. I like the sparkly stuff, yes. You see the sparkles. So all I did was this white part here with the butterfly. Now I'm not sure, I'm not 100% sure I like the white.
Because of the, why? Because of the coloring?
Yeah, I'm not sure it shows up well enough. Should I continue with the gold? Should I leave it white?
I don't know. Well,
so like, so this part here is full stitches, and then down here, this is only half stitches, so don't look at that. That's not fully covered yet. But okay. Over here, full stitches. But I'm wondering, so I'm only using 2 strands. I'm wondering if I should use 3 for the white, and then it'll look.
Well, you know what it is? The butterfly is not as thick as the bull, which is why it doesn't show up as much, because it looks like you're only 2 stitches wide, whereas the bull looks like it's 3 or 4 stitches wide.
That is accurate. Yeah, that is accurate. So I should maybe redo the butterfly to be thicker. Like,
is that your pattern?
Yeah, the butterfly is my pattern. I created the butterfly. So you're saying that I should make the silhouette of the butterfly, I should add like a row or 2 so that it's equivalent to the bull. Because the butterfly was going to be more delicate, but I think it's getting lost on this busy fabric.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Okay.
Do you have like the silver thread? So if you added it, you could add it like a shadow, which might keep it delicate looking.
You mean like back stitching?
No, if you added extra stitches instead of doing it in the same color. What if you did it in the silver that matched the opalescent of the fabric, so it would help the butterfly pop a little more, give it more solidity, but without making it look thick? I don't know if that makes sense.
I understand, like a shadow. I don't know. I'd have to really think about that, because then I think it would match the bowl a little less. I kind of wanted them to be the same style. So I think adding another row and or column to the butterfly, I think that's a really good solution. I'm going to try that. That's something that I can do without ripping out what I've already stitched. So
that's the way to go.
Yeah. That's the first one I've been working on. And that's going to be a wedding announcement. It'll have mine and my husband's, our wedding day listed on it.
By the time you finish it, it'll be your 5th anniversary or something like that.
No. I have a deadline. The deadline is March. I'll have it finished by March. It's actually not that much more stitching. It's just I do so many other things in between. I actually don't stitch that much. But anyway, and then so this next pattern is let me show you what it's going to look like finished. It's from Just Cross Stitch magazine. It's from the October 2010 edition, and it's called Pumpkins.
Oh, sorry, I talked over you.
Oh, and it's called Elegant Pumpkins. And
I'm glad you're working on that again, because it's so pretty.
Yeah, thank you. I like it. This is what it's going to look like finished. Oops, sorry. Let me make it bigger. There we go. All right. Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that's Elegant Pumpkins. Who is the artist? I am sorry. I don't know who the designer is. I should know that. Let's see if it's in the designed by Marie Barber. So That's important. Always know the designer. Okay, so this is what I have so far.
Nice.
So compared to last time, I finished all of the black lace inside, and then I started stitching these red bits here. See the red bits? So in the pattern, I'm using something different. So in the pattern, it calls for some, I don't know, some DMC thing, but instead I'm using S915. So this is the satin.
Oh.
See how it's a little bit shiny?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm using the satin 915 for those little red bits instead of the called for. So far that's my only conversion, but I'm trying to remember what it called for, and I couldn't find it, so I didn't do it. Let's see, called for, there's the symbol. It called for 3685, which is standard DMC floss, but I wanted something a little bit. I thought the satin texture might give it a little pop, and it does. It's very subtle though. It's very small, but I like it.
Right. Is that all there is of the red?
No, you'll have a little bit more in the middle and then a little more on top. I can show you.
So it'll be very subtle.
Yeah. So here's all the red you get.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So you have a little bit a little in the middle, and a little on top. So it'll be very, but I wanted to try it out. And then the last thing I've been stitching on, and I'm so excited because I'm almost done. It's the 3D 20-sided die. It's in issue 17 of X Stitch magazine, which is called Adventures. It's by Tom Katsumi. And it's on plastic, 14 count plastic canvas. So this is what it's going to look like when it's done.
So cool.
I forgot to mention, this is 36 count linen. I think it's called some pale moon or something. I forget. Hold on a second. I have it in my notes. It's Weigart 36 count. It's called Winter Moon Bird Linen. So that's what this is on, which is nice. I like it. I like the texture. I like the linen. I like the linen look. It's very, very thin and wispy. It'll look gorgeous when it's done.
It will.
So this is what I have so far of the 3D dice.
Oh, you've started putting them together.
Yeah. So I've got 2 halves. So each half has 10 pieces.
Cool. Oh, you did outline the one in white.
End up outlining the one. Yeah. It just completely invisible. So, and it's funny because I was like, I'm not going to outline it in white. I'm going to use ecru because white will be too bright. And then when I looked at the pattern, they used ecru. I should just like, and then here's the other half.
Nice. So before you put the 2 halves together, Oscar wanted you to put a weight in the one.
Yeah, so that it always came up 20 when he rolled.
Of course he does.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if I weigh the one, it'll always come up 20, which is the winning number.
For sure.
I do that. So how they tell you to assemble it in the pattern, they tell you to cut the plastic canvas, whip stitch it around, and then sew the pieces together using the whip stitches. Instead, I placed them together and used a joining stitch to stitch them because I thought that would be faster and easier. It was probably faster, but probably not easier. It was really hard, and I'm getting a callus on my finger from pulling the needle.
Do you have a leather finger? What's the word?
So I have a metal one, but a thimble isn't what you need. You need I have a silicone grip, excuse me, but it doesn't grip well enough and it slides right off my finger.
No, it's a leather finger. For Riken has, I bought 2 of them because you use them with leather working, because sometimes you have to push the leather tool, or when you're sewing leather, you have to push the needle through with your thumb, and you'll have holes in your thumb from doing it. So we have leather fingers. Pop over and borrow mine.
So it's not the pushing. I have a thimble for pushing. I use it all the time. I don't know if you can see it's starting to get a little worn out.
That looks cute.
It works very comfortable. I put it on this finger like this. So I push it through as far as I can, and then I have to pull it the rest of the way through. It's the pulling. It's the pulling action that's giving me the callus.
Mm-hmm.
And I have grips for that. But
Are they helping?
Not enough. So here's the problem though. I am neurotic about coverage. I like all of the plastic to be covered. You see how you have these little like white bits showing through? I hate that.
Use
So
a magic marker.
It's 14 count plastic canvas. Really, you only need 2 or 3 threads. I'm using 4. And that's the problem. There's barely enough room to get a needle through where you already have 3 other stitches through it, and you've got to jam through that 4th stitch.
Yeah.
So that's why my poor little finger is getting, but you know, calluses are good, right? Because that means that it's stronger. So I did not follow the directions in assembly. I mean, the order of assembly is correct, right? Because you have the bright one here, and then it sort of fades to orange, and then it fades to red.
Do they have to go together a certain way? Do the numbers have to be in a certain order, like for it to be official?
Yes, if you want it to be a true 20-sided die, they do have to go together a certain way. But I'm going to try, because so here's the thing. Just this morning, I was trying to stitch these 2 halves together, and it was really, really difficult for me to get them to line up right. So I'm going to try it the way that they suggest. I started doing the overcast stitch on these edges. And then after I'm done with all that, then I will take a embroidery needle, a pointy tip embroidery needle, and sew the 2 halves together separately instead of the joining stitch that I used for all the rest of them, which I still think was a good idea. I mean, it's really strong. This is not going to fall apart. You can, use this. My concern was stitching it together the other way, that it would be a little bit more delicate, but I don't think I can do it with the joining stitch all the way around the whole thing. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work.
So I got another question.
Right. I can't angle the needle right to get through both sides.
That was going to be my question. It's one thing when you're putting 2 sides together and you could pull it through the back, but when you have a hole that you're putting together, there's no back. I mean, when you put the needle in, it's got to come out on the same push.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was able to do that for all of the rest of these because I could reach inside. I could hold it front and or do it like that. But with this, I can't hold the back. I can't get, it's enclosed. So I'm going to do it the way that they suggest.
She's going to follow the directions.
I am going to follow the directions, but I am loving how this is coming out so far. I'm hoping that once I stitch it together, that it'll hold a truer shape. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like just the way it is so far, the shape is pretty true. It's a little distorted in place. But that's just because my tension is too high. I pulled it too tight. And that's because when I was trying to get it through the thing, I would be boom, and then it would be super tight. So, but I'm really enjoying this project. I can't wait to see it finished. And I've been taking pictures as I go. So once I'm done with the assembly part, I'm going to post all over, I think Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to post, I'm at Notorious Needle on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm going to post all of the pictures of the assembly process that I've taken so far.
Now, in the
So
directions, they tell you the assembly process, more or
yes,
less, right? And have
Yeah.
you found their directions to be easy to follow and good?
I think if you've never worked with plastic canvas before, it might be hard to kind of get it, what they're trying to say, how they drew it together with the assembly bit. And then they have like a map of, like, you have to line up the sides, which I would have done that slightly differently, their map. So their map says, you know, like this is side A and this is side A, right? And this would be side B and this would be side B, and they have it all mapped out. But I think instead I would have just had the 8 and put like a little 20 here and a little 18 here and a little 10 here, and like that would have been easier.
Oh, I see what it goes next to.
Yeah, right. Use the number that's already there instead of what they did was they assigned letters to all of the edges. And I was able to follow it, but I think it could have been a little easier. And then I found a mistake, not a big one. And you probably wouldn't even notice it. If you decide to stitch it, ask me and I'll tell you what it is. But as a designer, like, we all make mistakes. It happens. It's not a big deal. And you can still follow the pattern even with this tiny little mistake. So don't worry about it. But I did find one and it kind of made me go, oh, is that what I'm supposed to do? Oh, wait, no, clearly I see it had I believe that it had to do with the software that they were using. And it produced a color that you're not actually using in the pattern. So let's see where. Yeah, so but I am really enjoying it. It's coming together clearly. So yay. So that will be finished. My goal is that will be finished by the next Flosstube. And it will be fully finished because I don't have to freaking frame it. I never get to that part. I hate framing. So I don't have to frame it, which is awesome. That's all my whips. What are your whips?
Awesome. Well, I'm kind of still working on the same two I was working on before. So I'll start with the Peppermint Purple Stitch Along for 2021, which I have gotten quite a bit done. I think I'm caught up to like week 45 or 46 I just downloaded. And, you know, I know sometimes people comment on that I use a really tiny hoop for this one. But if you look, each one of these little squares is 1 week. So I like to use the tiny hoop because I'm only working on a tiny section. And this is, yeah, actually, you know what, Sarah? I think this is 32 count Laguna.
There you go.
I couldn't even remember what this fabric was. This was fabric, and I had 2 pieces, and I went, oh, I think this will work for a pillow. I'll use it for this peppermint purple sal, and I'll make a pillow out of it. So that's what I'm going to do. When this is done, I'm going to add the black outline, which I already have on the other piece, and then put the two together and stuff them. I'm not framing it either.
So one Peppermint Purple Stitch Along will be like the 2020 will be one side and the 2021 will be the other.
Exactly. And I mean, it's kind of the right size to go behind your back or behind your neck, or, you know, just something small.
Yeah.
And yeah, but I really like, I'm kind of liking the black work. We'll just put it this way. Some of these squares are a lot easier to do than some of the other ones. So there are ones where I whip it right through and I'm done in like half an hour. And there's other ones where the frog fairy comes and we have to rip it. And I get to the point where I'm like, you know what? I don't care if it's wrong. I'm leaving it. Nobody can see it. I can't even see it. So we're done. That's been one adventure. My only black work adventure. And then the other one that I'm still working on is the 3 mermaid one that I'm making for Mom. And you have all of the designer and all of that in the notes from before.
Fandom Stitchery or Fandom Cross Stitchery. Yeah, and I'll put the links down below. Any
Okay.
pattern out that I can find, I will link below so other people can find it.
Yeah. And I found I'm using the little hoopy things to keep the grime guard out of the way, which kind of works okay. But I'm going to take it. Oh, and I don't need a needle minder because the needles go on the magnetic things here. But I'm going to open this up so I can show you. Let's take this off. Take the grime guard off. And this is the Neptune fabric from Bestitch Me, which is really pretty. I love this fabric. So I've saved myself a lot of work because this is supposed to be a full coverage and this is supposed to be all blue, ocean blue. Well, ta-da, it's already ocean blue. So I don't have to do any of that. So here's the brunette one, right? And then this was the redheaded one that I already finished from before, from my disaster with the math, where I cut the fabric and I cut it too small. Yeah. So I said, well, I'll just start with the brunette one, right? And then I'll do the redhead one, and then I'll do the blonde one. So I came in 3 inches down and 3 inches in, leaving my margin. And I started her in the corner, and I'm working on her, and I get to this side and I start looking at the math again. And I realized that, no, even if I didn't use a margin, I would not have had room to do all 3 mermaids on the same piece of cloth because I didn't buy a piece big enough. And so now I'm glad I kept this one and didn't do anything with it yet, because I'm going to have this one in the middle and I'll make the brunette one here. And then I'll add, like, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches or whatever here. And then I'll do the blonde one. And so instead of being one piece, and I'm sorry, it's such a wrinkled mess, but that's what happens in the grime guard. So I don't know, which is worse. Maybe I can stretch it out a little. It's going to end up being 3 separate pieces that I'm going to have to buy. Yeah, you laugh. Go ahead, laugh. Oh, I tried so hard.
You did. Oh, the math defeated you.
It just wasn't working out. But
you're good. You're not quitting, and it'll just be. You'll just have to find 3 different frames, and it'll be fine.
Well, when we were at Michael's, I think I saw something that was like 3 frames in one frame, right? It was 3 pictures in a row. I think you might remember that. And if these fit, I may go back and use that, and we'll see if that works. Or I may just do 3 small square frames and then let Mom hang them if she wants to do it like on a diagonal or however she wants to do it. Because this is going to be, it's going to be for her. And on this one, as you can see, I'm stitching in the ditch, kind of. This is the back. So because I like to stitch right up to the edge, it's easier than taking it out of the hoop all the time. So these are my 2 whips, just 2. That's all I have.
Wow.
I'm trying to finish them, but I really like that pumpkins. And I'm thinking that one of the fabrics that I have from the fabric of the month from Bestitch Me is going to look really pretty with those pumpkins. I might have to do it.
Well, when I decided on Elegant Pumpkins, I bought enough fabric for Elegant Pumpkins 1 and Elegant Pumpkins 2. So I'm going to stitch them on the same fabric.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. But that's it for my whips.
Yay, good job. Where did I put my notes? Notes. So after whips, do you have any new starts?
Oh, hell no. After the mermaid disaster, at this point, I just want to finish her up and get her out of my life.
Tell you what, Mom, next time you need to cut some fabric or measure some fabric, just give me a call. We'll do it together.
Sounds like a plan.
All right.
You aced the SATs in math.
That it doesn't take that. It really doesn't. If you don't know, I have a calculator on the website. If you go to notoriousneedle.com/cross-stitch calculator, all one word, it just walks you through. You plug in some numbers and then it tells you how big your fabric should be, including whatever margins you want and what size needle. And I think it even recommends like how many strands of standard embroidery floss. It's super easy. You just plug in whatever you're stitching and it spits out the number, and we can do that together. Well, you and me next time.
Well, I had to sit there and count the stitches in the pattern because it's not one of those patterns that comes with a count. And the three together don't come with a count. So there's no
grid.
There's a grid, but it shows one mermaid, right? And so it shows the one mermaid, and then it gives you the colors for the one mermaid, but the colors for the redhead are not there. And it doesn't show all three. So I'm sitting there trying to figure out, well, how much of a margin do I need between the two and how many stitches, and trying to chart all that out like I would, on a grid. There's 60 stitches here, and then there's an extra 2 here because this part sticks out, and then I want 5 or 6 in between, and then I need another 60. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just, it wasn't entirely my fault.
It sounds complicated.
I found it to be a little bit of a challenge, as you can see.
No problem. So I don't have any new starts either, but there is a new pattern on the Notorious Needle. It is basically, it's the same as the nice butt pattern. But a customer asked me if I could rechart the pattern backwards so that you can read it in the bathroom mirror. So there is a reverse nice butt pattern on the Notorious Needle. So you can stitch it and put it in your bathroom. And when somebody is sitting on the toilet and they look in the mirror and the mirror is pointing to over the toilet, they can read nice butt. So there you have it.
That's funny.
Yeah, I thought it was a really good idea. I mean, normally I don't do customizations or personalizations right now. I might later, but right now I don't normally do that. But I thought it was a great idea. So I was like, we'll give it a
Especially
try.
since it's the bathroom collection.
Right.
Every bathroom has a mirror.
Yeah. And yeah, it depends, I guess, on where your mirror is positioned compared to, I don't know, whatever. I have seen though on Etsy, how there's a popular pattern that says don't do Coke in the bathroom.
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, well, it's all over Etsy. Don't do Coke in the bathroom. And I have seen a couple versions of that in reverse also to be seen through the mirror. Or like one of them said no selfies in the bathroom. And that one was in reverse and mirrored. You know how people are always like taking pictures of, yeah. I thought that was funny.
It is funny because I usually take selfies in the bathroom.
A lot of people do. So I don't have any new starts. So that's the new thing, was another new pattern. So that's just about it for today. So remember the Black Friday sale on the Notorious Needle, 40% off everything. Plus, if you're a VIP, you get an additional 20% off using your VIP code. If you want to become a VIP, it's notoriousneedle.com/get20. That's GET20. So thank you for watching this far. And the last thing I want to talk about is what's coming up next for the Notorious Needle. So I thought about more patterns. I thought about another stitch along, but honestly, where my heart is teaching people how to cross stitch. So I'm going to be, ironically, taking a break from making tutorials here on YouTube and on the notoriousneedle.com. And instead, I am going to start creating a class or two. I'm thinking there's going to be like a cross stitch basics class for people who have never done it before. and a cross stitch mastery class. And the idea is I want you to be able to come out of this class and be able to stitch any cross stitch pattern that you can find. So it's going to take me a while to put that together. I'm anticipating a few months, but there will be more on that later. If you'd like to hear more, or if you'd like to be part of the beta, I don't have dates yet, but when I do, I will announce them on my list. And if you're a VIP, not only do you get the 20% off, but you'll be first to hear about the classes and the beta launch. So again, that's notoriousneedle.com/get20 to become a VIP, and you'll be the first to hear about the beta launch and then the true launch of the classes. So if you want to get in on the beta, it'll be a super inexpensive price compared to the regular launch, and your input will be taken to help me put the finishing touches on this class. So even if you choose not to be a part of the beta, if there's anything that you've always wanted to learn about cross stitch that you haven't encountered, let me know, and maybe that'll give me an idea. I can put that in the class. And this is something that I will be perpetually improving over time. Like as I learn things, or as people ask me questions, I can go ahead and throw it in masterclass. So I'm really excited about it, but I just want to let you know that because of that, I will be taking a break on tutorials for a while. But we will still be doing floss tubes, so you'll still see us here.
Sounds like a plan. Sounds like a plan.
That's the plan. I'm really excited. So thank you again for joining us and staying with us this long. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you next time.
Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can hit 5,000 and give away that free gold, beautiful gold floss. It's gorgeous.
It is. Thank you. We'll see you next time.
Stitch on.